Hi, this is Dr. Martha Lucas, and we are going to today continue with the presentation on grief and fertility challenges. So, if you didn't get to see the last presentation, the first part of this, make sure that you go back and watch it. I want to thank the American Acupuncture Council for hosting this webinar and remind you that I have a private practice in Denver, Colorado, and Littleton, Colorado, and I am happy for you to contact me if you have any questions about this presentation. So we're going to continue with grief and fertility challenges, and let's go to the slides. Then there are the women who are diagnosed with secondary infertility. Now, this is a little bit of a nebulous term, and it means these women have had a successful pregnancy, they've given birth, but they are struggling to get pregnant the second time. And it's interesting to them because they're like shocked. What happened? I had a baby already. And statistics show that once you have a pregnancy, once you have a successful birth, that your chances of getting pregnant are higher the second time. But there is this thing called secondary infertility where women have a little bit of a hard time getting pregnant that second time. Now, why? Well, did they have some scarring on the fallopian tubes? Did they have a previous C-section that led to some scarring? The causes can be varied. And grief can also become a factor in grieving the idea that their child doesn't have a sibling. Because again, I've worked with many women who only have one child. They, for some health reason or whatever, they couldn't have another child. And so they have a layer of grief about, I wanted to have more than one child. My whole life, all I thought about was being a mother and having a whole slew of kids around. I want my child to have a playmate. Some people feel sorry for their only child. They feel like maybe they're lonely. They don't have anybody to walk to school with. They have to play by themselves. And all of that can increase their grief. They can grieve who they used to be before their diagnosis. Now it seems that everything is about appointments that you have to set up, you have to show up for, you have to infuse all your energy into all of these processes and procedures. And sometimes all of this grief, just even generalized grief, not even fertility challenge grief, can take away the comfort that we used to get in the little things, like taking a walk or meeting a friend for lunch or reading, going to a coffee shop or going to a park and reading. And then even the bigger things, not being happy at family gatherings. With grief, sometimes, especially long-standing grief, it just takes away the satisfaction or joy that you get in what used to be joyful experiences. Sometimes women who used to pursue hobbies or their passions are now too tired, too distracted, or too sad to do those things that used to bring them joy. They feel like they used to be a generally happy, optimistic, hopeful person, but now they feel kind of like a shell of their former selves, they say. They watch those things in life happen like they're watching them on a TV screen. They're not really experiencing them. They're in the room, they're in the family event, but inside, they are not experiencing the happiness of the event. They want to engage in life the way they used to before they had to start their infertility treatment, but they just can't do it. They just long for their pre-diagnosis self, but the grief just kind of takes over. Now, what about the woman who suffers through recurrent pregnancy losses? This includes what is called a chemical pregnancy, which the pregnancy test results get lighter over time, hormone levels go down, and sometimes, unfortunately, that first promising ultrasound ends in a loss. Losing a child and deciding to continue with pregnancy treatments can be the most excruciating emotional experience that a woman or a couple can have. For them, it seems like the losses go on and on and on. The things to grieve go on and on and on. So this is partly what we need to support people through when they're going through this in their fertility treatment. And unfortunately, infertility is lonely, even though you have a million appointments and you seem to have a support system. all of that does not take away that grief of trying to have or grow a family. The wonderful support does not inherently change the circumstances of the woman. Plus, the woman, we all want support, right? But part of the problem with support is the person feeling like she's constantly explaining what part of the process are you in right now, or feel the myriad of responses of people saying, oh well, how did that go for you, how did that last treatment turn out, constant answering questions about what's going on with your treatment, where are you in the process, are you going to do it again. So there's all of that even though support is good, having a support system is good, part of a support system is having to talk about it. And then, of course, the drugs, lots of them cause powerful treatment effects, which is a good thing, but they also have strong side effects. For example, oral birth control pills can have very powerful side effects, and the rate of depression in women taking birth control pills is 5 to 50%, being most common in the progesterone dominant formulas. So, what does it mean in Chinese medicine? How are the organs involved? The liver is known to regulate the flow of qi and emotions. We all know that, the commander of qi. It stores blood and regulates substances. Emotions cause physical disease. How? Through stagnation that causes deficiency, through stagnation that causes excess, and through the deficiency of blood, for example. The liver blood, the heart governs blood and stores the shen. Emotional stress can make heart blood and yin deficient. See, thereby, of course, there we find the shen is disturbed, the emotions are disturbed, and important for fertility challenges, blood flow to the uterus becomes compromised. The spleen helps make digestion work well. We need the digestion to make good blood in order for us to have a successful pregnancy, because digestion that doesn't work well and worry, remember in a previous presentation, I was talking about how worry makes the digestive pulses go backwards. Well, all of that disrupts the flow of qi in the earth, in the center, in the spleen and stomach pulses. And that is, again, going to negatively affect blood flow to the uterus. Worry's effect on the spleen also can lead to poor appetite, fatigue, sleeplessness, brain fog. And again, all of those are going to be a negative effect on the woman who's trying to get pregnant. Grief gets stuck in the lungs. So the immune system is affected, and the flow of qi throughout the body can be compromised, because that is part of the lungs' job, right? Now, you'll recall that spleen and stomach, earth and metal, lung, large intestine are the immune system. So that's why if the lung pulse is stagnated or short because of grief, then the whole immune system can be compromised. And again, if the lungs can't manage the flow of qi and blood, then you're going to have a negative effect in the uterus. The lungs are about taking in the new and letting go of the old, but old grief and continuing grief can get stuck in the lung pulses. Some people lose the ability to connect their inside world with the outside world, and metal is about that communication. The release of grief is essential to allowing the body to heal and get the communication with the inside and outside going again. Otherwise, the person is what we call armored. They become very heavy because of their heavy emotional burden. Grief can be separating, isolating, and it can be cutting them off from their relationships with the rest of the world. And an important message for people who are experiencing grief is it's okay to feel your grief. You don't have to hold it in. As I said, and any one of you who've taken a class from me know that I tell people emotions have to be expressed. You must let them out. You can't leave them in, because they're going to mess up your qi, mess up the flow of oxygen and blood in your body. And I tell them it's okay to use your voice while you're crying. The frontal lobe, our Sanjiao area, will go round and round and round and round and round and round when you cry in silence with the same message over and over and over and over and over again. But when you use your voice when you're grieving and crying, that cuts off that Sanjiao frontal lobe running around in a circle. So it is okay to feel your grief, and it is okay to use your voice in your grief. So here's a little bit of a picture of what the lung large intestine pulse might feel like to you. It might feel like the lung large intestine pulse is short. It doesn't flow. You'll notice at the top of the picture, there is the sine wave. That's how the normal pulse would feel. Yang and yin, yang and yin, yang and yin, flowing through all of the positions. But the lung pulse in grief may feel like it's a shorter pulse, or that little dot indicates like a knottiness, almost like a little ball stuck in the pulse, a spinning bean pulse, if you will. Plus, the trauma of the fertility challenge and experience can leave the earth position empty. Remember, if the energy can't flow through the lung large intestine, again, you can see it's a flow, yang and yin, yang and yin, yang and yin, all connected. But if that's the normal pulse on the top there. But if the normal pulse, that flow is stopped or stagnated by the lung pulse, then the spleen stomach isn't going to be getting any energy either. And that's the trauma pulse, that deep emptiness in the spleen stomach. And this person, believe me, if they've had past trauma, then this whole fertility challenge experience can key into that. And then they've got kind of a double problem. They're not making good quality oxygen in blood. It's not being flowed around by the lung large intestine. And then, of course, that leads to a negative effect on the flow of uterine blood. The patient's experiences may also reignite, as I said, old patterns of trauma, grief from childhood, the feeling that your life is out of control, because believe me, as you know, lots of women going through all of these challenges feel like their life is out of control and that their body is out of control. Their body just will not do what they wanted to do, which is get pregnant and have a successful birth. So all of that can lead to that empty spleen pulse from old trauma. Now, this is what we want the normal pulse to look like. We want the left and the right to connect with each other, the kidneys to connect with the left side and the right side. And again, if in that large intestine lung position, there's a knot or it's short and it's not flowing, then you're not going to get the flow of energy through all of the organ systems. And you'll notice those are sine waves. The infinity symbol is a sine wave, yang and yin, and then a sine wave, yang and yin. So we need for the kidneys to be able to support all of the other systems, gallbladder, liver to small intestine, heart, and then back to the other side, a continuous flow of sine waves. That is the goal of every acupuncture treatment. So that's why if grief is negatively impacting the one position or more than one position, well, it is impacting more than one position because it's stagnated. So it's not allowing the energy to flow over to the other side. So this is the importance of figuring out how we can release the grief in that position. Now, one way to do it is to use low points, right? Maybe you open the lung and the large intestine low, or you open the spleen stomach low points. Anything that's going to allow you to start relieving that stagnation in the lungs. I love liver 14, lung 1. Liver 14, lung 1 pointed out, that's an entry exit point treatment, and it will take some of the pressure off of the lungs. Plus, for grief, lung 2 is a very, very important point for lifting the clouds, releasing the clouds, or releasing grief. So, us thinking about how can I open the lungs. Sometimes I'll do liver 14, lung 1, also kidney 27 pointed out, just to really physically open the flow of the chest. allowing the person to feel more. Sometimes we need to use sky points because, again, the person's energy is stagnated. They're not in touch with their spirit anymore. I enjoy the idea of using something like pericardium 3, heart 5, heart 7. That way, again, I'm opening up the heart protector, because long-standing grief can definitely start to affect the pericardium because its job is to protect the Shen. So sometimes going straight for the heart pulses, going straight for the heart channel with people isn't the best choice because their Shen is tender. So approaching it from the pericardium and then moving into the heart sometimes is a better option. But the main goal is getting the lung and large intestine channel open so that it will flow over to the other kidney side. So again, you might open kidney 4, the low point on the kidneys, to get that energy flowing, and the kidney is more likely to accept it and get consolidated and strong to help the woman through this fertility challenge. So as I said, we can use the low points, kidney 4, you know, at this time, the person and the kidneys might be in sort of a protective mode. So opening up the kidney pulse is very good for that. Well, I want to thank you for watching. I also want to thank the American Acupuncture Council again. Also, you can see my teaching website is lucasteachings.com, and my private practice site, which, as I said, is my clinics are located in Denver and Littleton, Colorado, is acupuncturewoman.com. And feel free to contact me if you have any questions.